Good morning. We have always thought that charity begins at home. But maybe all the proverbs, all these sayings are proven to be different by exception. And the exception is what has become a daily habit with us, the use of the telephone, especially the cell phone. Are you aware that CRTC itself admits that in all the industrialized countries, it's the Canadians who pay the highest cost, highest price for the privilege of using a cell phone. An average Canadian pays anything ranging from $37 to $107 for using mobile services. And this is essentially because our policies are so formulated as to enable, what shall I say, exploitation, of course. I wanted to use a very harsh word, which I did not use. So, the exploitation of the customer. Imagine a Canadian company based in Waterloo is providing the citizens of USA cell services, and they charge a sum of $19 per month, one line, for unlimited text and talk services. That, of course, is not included, but text and talk is. Now, that service, if you add data with that, it comes to about $25 a month. How cheap? And compare the same service here in Canada, would not be less than $60. Anyway, why? This company, which is providing this cheap, economical service to the United States citizen, is prohibited from delivering the same services to Canada, though 17,000 Canadians have already registered with this company, hoping that one day this company would be able to provide similar economical services. And why it cannot do so? According to Tink, the CEO, the owner, these small companies called MVNOs, Mobile Network Organizations, rather Mobile Virtual Network. Now they do not have their own distribution system, they do not have their towers. So they piggyback on the towers of the other service providers. Here, Rogers, Shaw, and Bell refused to give them this service, and there is no way they could use this service. But in USA, Sprint was able to give them the platform and they provided the good services. In Canada, it is an unholy conspiracy by the three big providers who have almost established a stranglehold on the industry. And despite all the protestations of the government, nothing has been done to break this stranglehold. Why? We say we are a free trade economy. And in the free trade economy, we put hurdles in them. There was a company which was providing cheap services in Canada, and Rogers has objected to that company doing that. The case is with CRTC now. Most probably that company would also have to fold up. And to extend their stranglehold, these big three either drive these small companies out of business or they buy them. There's a Manitoba Telecom which is providing cheaper services, and the news is that the Bell is planning to buy, or rather it has initiated the process to buy the same for $4 billion. Now, any entrepreneur who gets this amount of $4 billion for something which he might have invested up to $1 million is a windfall. Now, it's a windfall for that person. But the customers of Manitoba, the consumers of the service in Manitoba, are being hard hit. So let's see the economics. If Bell is paying $4 billion to buy the services, you can be sure that they are going to recover their cost in a couple of years. And then it is roses, roses all the way. But who is paying the cost? Ultimately, it's a customer, you and I, who are going to pay the cost. Now, coming to the government policies. Government says that monopoly is a crime. If you collude, you are penalized. I have seen cases where two gas stations were colluding the price of gas, and they were penalized, they were prosecuted. Here there is a clear case of not colluding, but of conspiring to keep the small guys out of business, with the intent of being rapacious in the cost. And the government is not losing a wink of sleep. There is nary a protest from the government. I can hear many a time the statements by the ministers saying that they will not permit this thing to keep on going. But I have been hearing these statements for the last 10 years at least. A pioneer of the telephone services. You know, the telephone was invented in this country. Graham Bell was the father of the telephone. So the progeny of the country where the telephone was invented have to pay the highest prices in the world for using the services. And that is only because we have permitted three big wigs to become so strong, so pervasive, that nothing seems to be done and nothing can possibly be done. I don't know whether it is because of the political contributions or because of some archaic agreements between the government and the service providers. But whatever it is, this is something highly, highly condemnable. Now, secondly, always we say that, one, the people, the marginal classes should have cheaper rates. How can have the cheaper rates? After all, we cannot have, or these companies would not permit them to have cheaper rate. I know there is one company, Zoomer, which provides comparatively cheaper service to the seniors, about $25. But then it's limited to 100 minutes in a month. Now imagine a senior couple living alone, wanting to talk to the kids and the grandkids and the relations and the friends, because that's their only mean of communication, and he can only do so for 100 minutes in a month. Can anything be more ridiculous? And then what does it lead to? You see, when the society was a close-knit society, when the interaction in the people was much more, then the need of the possible cell phone was not there to the extent it's needed today. As the families are becoming nuclear families, as the kids are moving away, there is a need to keep a connection And it was presumed with the advent of internet and cell phone technology, it would be much cheaper. And it's cheap all over the world. And that's why I wrote that article that in India, where the biggest problem is of the toilet, there are more cell phones than there are toilets. But why is it that here in Canada, our government cannot give an absolute free hand? Let anybody have a license, and it should be obligatory on the major providers that if they have built the towers, they are a public utility service and nobody should be allowed to stop them. Now imagine, there's an airport. Would an airport say, okay, the discount airlines are not allowed to use it? As long as their parking fees are paid, any aeroplane can use the airport facilities. Why cannot we have the same sort of thing for the telephone services? It's a very simple thing. That you lay down the cost, the parking cost as it is, the service cost you can call it, and whether it's a small company or a large company, should be able to use it after paying it. The result would be that there will be a real market economy in this sector, and the cost of the cell phone services, mobile services, will drastically come down. As a matter of fact, in case we permit a real free competition and become the perfect market or a near perfect market, even the big three would be the first to reduce their prices appreciably. As long as they feel that they can skim the cream off, as long as they feel that there is no restriction on their earning money, and even by fleecing the customer, they will keep on doing so. But give them a level playing field, and the little guys would come up, provide better service and cheaper economical service. And this is what the customer is interested in. Why the government cannot take a simple step like that? It is absolutely akin to providing the basic parameters. Now suppose somebody wants to start a transport service, would we say that since he is giving cheaper service, the roads he cannot be allowed to use the roads? No. He has to pay the road tax, you can ask him for anything, but you cannot say no, this public utility is only meant for X. The plea can be that this is the big companies which build the towers. Yes. But then there is a law of preeminence. The principle of preeminence says that anything built for public use can be used by the others. Secondly, you cannot have a thing in perpetuity. Even the copyrights expire after some time. And at the most, they can be compensated by the small entrepreneurs who will be paying them the fee. So their revenue would not be decreased by the use of those services, by the use of those facilities, rather they'll increase. However, they'll have to reduce their prices if they want to remain in the market, if they want to be competitive. Now this is one thing where our government has to wake up, the federal government. This is one thing where people should demand that such a small thing that you permit a service, an organization based in Canada to provide cheaper service abroad to the foreigners, and you deny your citizens the right to have basic, economical, better communication. The only thing I can say is these harebrained schemes of the government, divorced from the reality, are either because of the ineptitude or they belie a nature that is inimical to the common good. It's up to the government to decide what to do. It's up to the people to make the government decide what to do. But there are ways and ways of doing things. I've delineated a couple of ways through which cheaper mobile services can be provided, reducing the burden by almost 50%. Any takers? Thank you.